Hi guys, welcome back. All right, so Aries, let's go ahead and jump on in, and we are just going to see what is the most valuable or the most important lesson here for Aries. We have an Eight of Swords. We have the twin flame energy. Now, Aries, I am actually still intending on doing a tomorrow an 11:11 message for every zodiac to celebrate 111, basically 11, just because 2026 breaks down to a 1 year. So we will celebrate that tomorrow. Where I'm at, we are not there yet, so just bear in mind my intention is to give you guys another video, but this is kind of like 11. The twin flames is oftentimes looked at as kind of the 1 1 standing side by side looks like 11. And so I'm just mentioning this because it looks like we're getting started with the 11:11 roundup here. That Eight of Swords says there's blocked energy for lovers, at least today on the 10th. Who knows what tomorrow will bring, but we have two people where it's like the heart itself is like sweating here or crying. And we have these two that actually look very peaceful, even though they are in separation, but there has been stagnated or stuck energy. But honestly, because they're sitting in like a very thoughtful, meditative position, my impression is not that they're exactly stuck, but maybe they're right where they've needed to be. We have Nine of Swords, though. Okay, there is a lot of stress, there is a lot of tension, even though we also see them calm and like trying to vibrate at like a better, like themselves. I feel like both people on their own are actually like really focusing on their peace, their inner alignment, but then when it comes to them like thinking about each other, I have a pain in my head right now. I don't get headaches very often, but I've been getting them lately. We have the Tower. The Tower is this could be great. This could be that the reason two characters have been getting their groundedness, but then are also starting to stress out, is because they feel something's going to give. Change is here. Something's going to change. What is it? Is it going to be good for us? Is it going to be, do we never speak again? Is it going to be we suddenly speak, but it's an argument? Could it be that something is going to like shift out from under us and we're actually going to reach out to each other again? Stress can be good or stress can be bad, but sensing something is changing and something is coming seems to be the big message. We have a Seven of Cups. They don't know what it is, but I feel like Aries feels it, and so too does this other person. Where is the source of the stress coming from? Is it from the not knowing but sensing things something's going to change? We have the Knight of Wands. We have the Nine of Cups, and we have the Moon. A lot of the stress definitely comes from the not knowing what's going to happen next. And also when they think about one another, I think that it kind of stings to imagine like they probably have moved on. They're in a really happy relationship. They're with someone other than me, and that's just how they want their life to be. And I'm sure it's all great and fun and games and everything's wonderful. I don't know neither one of them knows what's going on with the other. And in fact, what we see is two people who've been alone, quite possibly very celibate, in their own little pods, just in a meditative state, working on getting their own groundedness. But then when they think about one another, it's like, oh, it hurts to think that they probably have gone on and they've just been living their best life with lots of different people, and having romance with a whole bunch of other people and stuff. And it feels like that's the great unknown, and that's where the stress comes from. Tell me about that Tower. High Priestess. So they are sensing something's going to happen. Here's what I don't get. If, from what I can tell, both people have been getting their own calm, but then when they think about seeing each other, they get like stressed and anxious, thinking, I'm going to have to be able to handle it if I see them. And it turns out they're on the arm of somebody else and they've been having a great time and they never think of me. And although, maybe I want them to be happy, but on the other hand, it'll still sting, it'll sting to feel that way. But then why are they sensing that they are near each other. And I think that they must be spot on with that Two of Cups. Again, I'm trying to clarify that ego collapse. We got the Nine of Swords here sideways. The ego collapse is that, tower coming down. I kind of think, are these two actually going to see each other tomorrow? Because this is like, I'm having a sleepless night tonight. I am suddenly feeling very drained. I have felt terrific today, and now I suddenly feel very, very drained. And I almost, we do that thing where you go, oh, I need a big breath of air to like wake me up. Like that's how I feel right now. And so I'm wondering like if there's just like a lot of energy in general leading up to the 11th, just because of that, 11/11, but how it seems to be impacting this fictional character is, on one hand, some of the stress is about to be lifted or minimized, even though there could still be a sleepless night for both people. Somehow it actually looks like it's because we're reaching a crescendo, but the crescendo is to finally like let something go. Okay, we do have the Chariot, but it is in the reverse, which could be, it could be two people saying, I want to stop thinking about this person. Maybe it's not that these two are going to see each other. Maybe it's that they both are about to say, I don't want to find out that they moved on and were happy without me, so I want to let them go. But I need to let them go with love. This could be the way in which two characters get beyond this blockage. Because we see this over and over, like Aries and this person, they're in the same exact mindset. I don't really want to have to find out that they've been happy with someone else. They in particular don't want to think that other people have been loving on their Aries. As this is an Aries card, right? They don't want to think of Aries having other people, in their bed. That's not a good thought process for them. But I'm wondering if after a sleepless night and after all this kind of like build up, what it really shows us is when that tower falls, which that is Aries card. After a sleepless night, it almost feels like they come to the conclusion, both of them, that I have to tell them though that I love them and I wish them well. And I hope that they find great happiness, not because I think that they're going to be with me, but because I got to wish them well so they can move on. And then I can stop, having to think like, what would it be like to see them again, but then find out they've been with all these other people. Look, it's not my business. I got to let them go. And I should hope that they find somebody that they love. If you've ever loved somebody, then you got to still wish them the best as they continue on, even if it's not with you, and that's not an easy thing to do. This has been the energy of like these two characters have had to get peaceful enough in themselves to be able to face this, to then be able to let each other go. The irony here is, in this story at least, this is two people who both actually feel the same way about like, I wish that I wouldn't have to think of them moving on with someone else, meaning they still both want to be together. So hang on, tell me just about them for a moment. Who are you, character? Seven of Swords. They lie to themselves about a lot. They could be a Libra, Gemini, or Aquarius, but let me ask, what are you lying to yourself about? Have you been lying about loving Aries? Yeah. Finally, with that Ace of Cups the second time, we know both characters are actually acknowledging, look, I love them. They're really hard for me to let go because honestly, I still wish that they loved me. If this character had been trying to fight this, they're not fighting it anymore. After a sleepless night, they're not fighting it anymore. We have Ace of Wands. They may actually decide to not only say, Aries, I wanted to tell you I really loved you. I really wished that you had wanted to be with me. They may find it in themselves to finally just say the words that are true because they've been hiding it for far too long. This could be a shocker. This could be, even though it appeared that Aries feels the same way about them at the same time, I don't think that these two have ever, they haven't talked in so long. I don't know that these two would have gotten to this point. Let me ask, what's the message here for Aries? We have the Two of Swords, and it is in the reverse. We have the Six of Swords upright. Aries is in that headspace that I don't want any more stress over this. I can't do it anymore. I can't have stress about this. I have to get back to a place of peace and calm. So, Aries, what are you intending on doing? We have the World. Look, if they actually say something to Aries, if they actually go ahead and tell Aries the truth, look, I loved you, Aries, and I still really wanted to be with you. I almost think that is either going to be exactly what Aries is going to respond with, which is, I had made the determination today that I can't keep, thinking about you moving on with somebody else and letting it hurt me. I needed to let you go if you want to be with someone else. But on the other hand, if you don't and you want to be with me, then we could have a new beginning. It feels like this is two very tremulous hearts. It's like it has been so stressful to think of you with someone else. But now, right when I could say I can let them go if that's what I need to do, it almost seems like it's going to be the exact reverse. It's like we're making a U-turn, because I don't think either person ever was out of love with each other or ever wanted to let the other one go. But the big stumbling block and the big fear was, you probably found somebody better than me. You're having your best life without me. It feels like that was a really big fear for both of them, and something that they couldn't get beyond. Is there something special about, this culmination in this moment? Is there something that has led to them finally saying, I'm going to have one more sleepless night over this, but then I got to face it in the morning, and I just got to make the decision to either reach out and wish them well, not because I expect us to be together, but because I've got to let them go for my peace of mind. We have the Star sideways. This does have to do with, remember at the beginning when we saw the twin flame card, which is not a traditional card, right? It's one that simply is in this particular deck. That energy says they've been sitting here trying to get their calm. They've been sitting here trying to heal themselves. They've been in their own separate corners, and they've been working just on taking control of themselves, their own thoughts. And we can see that they did it. They both healed themselves to an extent where now they could finally say to each other, I wish you well. But in truth, I would argue that these two, they've done the work that they had to do. That's what it is. They both reached, in a parallel fashion, the same conclusion. I finally healed myself enough to know I got to wish them well. I mean, this could have been at one point in time a greedy kind of love. Like I was desperate to have them with me, and, we had all kinds of conflict and there was a ton of intensity. But now I realized to love somebody, really, you have to be able to say, well, then I want you to be happy, even if it isn't with me. And even though it's like, oh, it hurts so much to think of you moving on without me. But if that's what you got to do, then I got to wish you well. Even though neither person wanted to wish each other well. I think they just learned how to love in a less, intense way, but perhaps a more healed way. And it just feels like, interestingly enough, I mean, maybe it's because we've got a lot of planetary alignments right now. Maybe that's what's bringing this up. But we've got two people that have reached a point where, although they could let each other go now, that's exactly why they don't have to. It's because they reached a point where I think they can be so successful together now. That is absolutely beautiful. Let me just ask one last thing. Who reaches out to whom? Because we definitely see, they are going to communicate. Page of Wands. So they could be a fire sign masculine, or this could represent Aries, stepping forward and just saying, I need to reach out. This is our communication, energy. So our pages are our little messengers, right? But I see this as I don't know who it is, but whoever is stepping into their masculine energy. And that could be Aries, even if Aries is a feminine, that could be them. I don't know, but it's one or the other will be reaching out. I feel like it's so crazy, because I feel like tonight is a sleepless night, and then tomorrow is the 11/11 message. But I feel like this is, the energy for these two. I'll be interested to see, because I'd like to do every single zodiac still tomorrow. I'll be interested to find out if we have kind of like a follow-up to this story tomorrow, or if we get something totally different, because it feels like this message is like over tonight and into tomorrow. So, all right, I'm going to leave this here. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. Aries, it's so good to be back with you. I've been having significant issues with none of the videos would process throughout the week. So it's been a really painful week where videos, even if I created them, they couldn't be viewed for at least 24 hours or longer. So it's been a rough ride this week, but things seem to be smoothing out. That sometimes when YouTube does updates, that happens, I've noticed, and it's been almost a week. So anyway, it's really nice to have things going smooth again. I have missed you guys, and it's great to be back. Bye.